Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. If this is your first video of mine, I'm sorry. Things are not going to be their normal selves today. I've been wanting to do a chatty video for a while. You guys really liked the last one. That one was a bit more full of tea. This one's going to be full of pineapple, Sprite, and Italian ice. So it's going to be a bit more of a fun time. I saw these at the grocery store this morning, where I went to the gym super early because it's going to be 103 degrees here in Fargo. And I was like, you know, it would be delicious? Some Italian ice. So we're going to do this little chatty video. I put up a question card on my Instagram. Again, this was last week. I was planning to film this over Memorial weekend, but I just ended up being super busy, which is good. It was good to be busy. So we're going to get to those questions today. And they're not a ton, but that's the thing. I can talk so much. But we are going to start with an unboxing because I decided to re-up my reveal book box. This is not sponsored, but if you've never heard of this book box, it's really cool because it's trope based. So what you do is there'll be a link to them down below. It's not an affiliate link, but like if you use my link, it helps me work towards getting a free box. So if you're interested in checking it out, definitely do it. You can do 1, 2, or 4 books, I believe. And they ship both here and international, but it can be kind of expensive. So just know that. But anyway, what you do is when you first sign up, you fill out this form and you say what tropes that you like. And then they surprise you by sending you some books. So I did this for quite a few months and I just ended up like I had a lot of books as I do. And so I paused it for a little while. And then randomly I was like, I would like to change up what my tropes are and order a new box. So if you don't want to see the unboxing, you can just skip ahead to the questions part of this. But I thought it would be fun. So we're going to go ahead and open this. All I did is flip the top. It always comes really pretty and wrapped. Just one more chapter, it says. Ooh, what is this? Oh, that was kind of cool. It has a sample of some color street nails. Wow, somebody's being clever. I actually have friends who sell these already, but that's kind of a cute thing. There's some accents. A coaster. We got some bookmarks. Ooh, this one's from Kennedy Fox. I really love their books. I've read a few of them. I actually really love the ones I have. Ooh, here's a free book. Babysitter not included, but the book is free. This is cool. I like that they have some free books included. Wow, I haven't got one of these ones before. So this one is Sweet by Poppy Parks. It says this one is a Hansel and Gretel retelling. That's cool. And then this one is Heartthrob by Megan Vernon. So that's cool. Okay, all right. And then there's a sticker from Molly O'Keefe. So now let's see what books I got in here. Oh, I got a pen as well. I actually love the pens they have. This one's Angela K. Parker. Okay, so we have Write With Me by Stacey Lewis. Cute. This one says Being a Single Mom by the time Haley Lucas turned 30 wasn't one of her life goals. Sorry, the type was really hard to read. In fact, the only good thing she can find about it is being able to finally follow her dreams instead of his. Getting involved with another man isn't in any of her plans, especially not one with baggage of his own in the form of an ex-wife from hell. One he wasn't upfront with her about the first time they met, and she wasn't yet an ex. Ooh, now Mitchell Anderson wants another chance, but the only thing he was going for him are his 2 adorable kiddos and the fact that his kisses turn Haley to mush. Is that enough to build a relationship on? He wants to show her being with him is the right choice, but first she has to forgive him for the secrets he kept before. This one is like about novella length too. It's pretty short. Cute. Whoa. Ooh. Okay. Okay. This is a big boy. All right. This one is called Prince, House of Misfits by Cambria Herbert. This is a thick one. It doesn't have a blurb. Oh, yeah, that's right. All these are signed usually, too. Yeah, I always forget that. So, I don't know what this one's about. Okay, here it is. Once upon a time, a baby is born in privilege, blooming under the warmth of his parents' love. Jealousy sprouts and brings with it malevolent intentions. A king and a queen cursed with an empty kingdom, a child abandoned in revenge. A misfit, the boy should turn hard and cold among the thorns he grows in. Despite lifelong attempts to destroy him, this child does not wither. Underneath his insecurity, he maintains a heart that is a tenderest center, a heart that plays the most beautiful music. Not far from this misfit, but in a whole different world, a dashing prince lives with a crown of expectations adorning his golden head. A prince raised with honor and duty, a prince expected to marry. Alas, during a simple walk in the forest, he is enchanted by a different song, and so a fairy tale is woven, two worlds colliding, secrets revealed, long everlasting, and a realization that not all fairy tales require a princess. Okay, so this is an MM royalty romance, and this is a big one. Listen with your heart. That's a cool cover. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I like that. Woo. Then we have Control Us by J.M. Walker, book 1. This is a next generation novel. This one says, Zach. She was innocent, passionate, fierce. After Luna Stone and I went from friends to lovers, my only purpose was showing her how worthy I was. But how could I convince her when I didn't believe it myself? I crave her touch and her smiles, but most of all her heart. I vowed to protect her and show her father that I could be the man for his daughter. I pushed, she pulled. And when all was said and done, I'd have to go through an even higher power to prove that I deserve her, myself. Luna. He was quiet, withdrawn, intense. Zach Porter and I had been friends since we were kids, but it had never amounted to anything more than that, until now. But as close as we were getting, he was still closed off. He protected his heart and put up walls, even though he had no reason to. He shoved, I grabbed hold and never let go. If I didn't fight for what was ours, he'd succumb to his demons and believe their vicious words telling him he wasn't good enough to give up on us. All right, friends to lovers. It looks pretty sexy. I like it. And then the last one in here is Warning Track by Carrie Aarons. First book in the Callahan family. It's cute. Okay, this one says, from a young age, she's been groomed to take over as general manager of the Pacton Pistons, her family's professional baseball dynasty, except she never expected her father would have to go to prison for the role to become hers. The public, and even her own family, are counting on the first female to wear the title to fail. Hoping to wipe the slate clean and clear the club's name, Colleen vows to put her job above everything else. Friends, a social life, her well-being, and most of all, love. Until she meets the team's new star player, their chemistry is instant, igniting the stadium with her heart. But the last thing she needs is a distraction, much less a surly god of the clay diamond who seems to despise her. Fate has other plans, though. If they're found out, it could mean the end of both of their careers, except hurtling so close to the danger zone has never felt more right. Hayes Swindle would prefer hell over the place he ended up. After a series of bribes and blackmail gone bad, the league's most desirable veteran superstar finds himself playing on a team he wants no part of. The family who runs this dynasty is corrupt, and he spent his career avoiding limelight exactly like this. With a chip on his shoulder and the intention to hightail it out of Pennsylvania as soon as his one-year contract is up, he has no plans to fall for the very woman he should stay away from. In his 10 years in the league, he's never once gotten bit by the love bug, but the moment he lays eyes on her, Hayes can see his days are numbered. When the forbidden happens, he has a decision to make. Should they head for disaster together, risking it all, or course correct and save themselves the ultimate price of heartbreak and scandal? Okay, so this one looks like an enemies to lovers, forbidden romance, and it's sports. So that sounds cool. One of the things that I did do is you can change your form whenever you want. And so I think that these still got sent to me based off of my old form. But I did fill it out for more darker romances, so I'm really excited for next month's. But it is fun to just get random ones in the mail, and I love getting authors that I've never heard of. And I can honestly say, I think I've heard of Cambria Herbert before, but I've never heard of any of these authors. and I just get excited. So definitely check that out. Again, I'll have my link down below. Don't feel obligated, but I'm doing it. Okay, so now let's get into some of the topics, and I'm going to work on my Italian ice while we do it. So one of the topics that kind of inspired this was I was talking with my friend about some of my pet peeves. And then when I put up my question card, she immediately put this one in there. So I'm going to talk about these real quick. And this question was then, what are some of your bookish pet peeves? And I've made a video about this before, like it was probably a long time ago. But pet peeves change all the time. Like mine used to be kids in romances, but now I really love single parent romances. And really any trope or any pet peeve, I can still like it if it's in the right context. There are very few, like honestly, I can't think of a single thing that it's a no-go ever. You know, you guys know I've read a lot of dark things. I've read some of the kinkiest things. There are things that I don't actively seek them out, but in the hands of the right author and in the right situation, I'm pretty much willing to give a lot of things a try, right? So yeah, I'm not one that has a lot of like hard lines for things, but that's what I think is different than like pet peeves. So some things that really peeve me out that are kind of random. I think we all know that cheating is one. So that's one that lies more along the line of like, that's more than a pet peeve for me. I've read on one hand the number of books with cheating in them that it works for me, just because that is such a line for me that I'm like, unless, and again, these are the ones that it works for me, unless you're in a situation where you cannot leave your partner because of danger. So like the mafia or, you know, historical or something like that. I think there's always a way for you to get out of that relationship or at least make it known, unless you're in one of those dangerous situations. People who are literally too afraid or too lazy to break up with someone and so they cheat on them or they're afraid of hurting them. How much more are you hurting them that instead of being honest to their face and breaking up with them, you hide behind your back? So for me, that's one that's, I've read so few that the cheating worked for me. It's not, again, I don't have a lot of hard lines, but when I hear that a book has cheating in it, I'm pretty much like, nope, nope. Again, unless it's one of those things where they're in a dangerous situation and they can't leave or other things like that. Another one for me, and I bring this up a lot, and I think a good example of where it worked for me and where it didn't, I recently just read one where it worked for me, but nothing makes me ragier faster than time jumps, okay? I hate these. I've read it, again, so few times where it's necessary. It's not that there can't be time jumps. It's how it's used. I don't like when it's in the middle of a fucking book, okay? Where I've spent a bunch of time with someone and then it says 10 years later. Like, unless it's the prologue and then you're saying it's 10 years later, or we're doing flashbacks to 10 years before, I hate it. I gave The Kingmaker 3 stars because of this time jump. Yeah, I did. The Rebel King, 5 stars. I love that book. But when I read The Kingmaker, the first time jump didn't bother me. The second time jump, I almost threw my Kindle out the door. Also, Kennedy Ryan likes to do these. And I love her. I love her. But her books are hard to enjoy for me. That's a whole other thing. I'm not ragging on Kennedy Ryan. Some of my favorite books this year are her books. But I'm just telling you, it's a hard track for me to go, okay? I don't like them. Ugh, I don't like them, especially when they're about a miscommunication or something like that. I get so mad. But that's why it's a pet peeve. It doesn't have to be rational. This is fiction. I don't have to like them. It doesn't mean that I will immediately throw a book away, but a book is already working on, like, it's starting to go down for me when there's big time jumps. Okay. Again, let me share one that did work. I just read Mr. Garcia by T.L. Swan. That one, pretty early on in the book, has a time jump. However, it worked for me because the situation that the two of them were in, a time jump was the only way that we would see them being together, because the thing that happens in the previous time was so grievous that we needed that time jump for us to start forgiving each other. Whereas in Kingmaker, our heroine was being a bitch. I said it. She was being a bitch. And she didn't give Maxim a chance. And again, I know neither of them were ready yet. I know they needed that time. That doesn't mean I have to like it. This is about pet peeves. It doesn't mean like it's right or wrong. There's plenty of people that love that book. But to me, Rebel King was much more satisfying because they're together the whole time for that book. But I hate it. Also, something else that goes along with that, is jumping to conclusions that lead to huge rents in a relationship. I hate that. I hate that so much. Because yeah, in romance, a lot of the ways that you create tension is misunderstandings or people missing something and jumping to a conclusion. But when it leads to time jumps, where it's like, you've pissed me off, I'm not even going to hear you out, I'm going to move across the country, lose my phone number, and then 6, 7, 10 years later, we see each other again. And all of it could have been explained if you'd given that person 5 minutes to tell you what you saw. And here's the problem. It makes me immediately lose respect for the characters. Because I'm like, well, you don't deserve to be in a relationship if you can't calm down. Even if you think it's something really bad. If you're going to completely destroy both your life and that person's life, I think you owe each other a conversation. So when I see characters who aren't even willing to talk it through, even if, let's say they're mad in the moment, and they're like, I can't talk to you right now because I'll say bad things, let's talk tomorrow. That's perfectly fine. That's still a lot of tension. I think this is something that Maggie Cole does pretty well. This is a new author that I really love. She does Mafia. There are quite a few, misunderstandings that happen, especially because in her books, the Mafia men don't tell their women what's going on. So that leads to some misunderstandings. But I feel like they don't let it drag on for horrible amounts of time. The way that some other authors think like, oh yeah, let's do this. That won't make my readers want to die. I don't know. But anyway, this was about my pet peeves. I feel like I've explained myself enough. Those are 3 main ones for me. Cheating, time jumps, and jumping to conclusions. Because let's be real, in romance, there's always an explanation. And when people won't talk, because I think you can still have tension when you have a miscommunication, but when that miscommunication leads to, we're breaking up, we're done, it's over. It's like, well, it's unbelievable for me that then you'll get back together and be able to work it out when you couldn't listen to the person before. I just get so ragey. I get so ragey. It happens a lot. Just ask my friends when that happens. Okay. Moving down my list. I have a little checklist of things to talk about. So this person asked, the question was, please do more fantasy romance recs. And I turned that into a question, why don't I read more fantasy romance? I have a whole folder on my Kindle that is paranormal and fantasy romances. I have a video where I've done fantasy romance recs. I have one where I've done paranormal recs. Here's the thing. Fantasy romance is very hard for me to feel equally invested and to have the level of steam that I want. I've read so few books where they are fully magical and fully romance at the same time. I haven't read a lot. And I get lots of suggestions. Again, I have a whole folder full of them. I have ones that are at the top of my list. I have some more Amelia Hutchins I want to try. I want to try Bex McAllister, whatever. Who else do I have on there? Laura Thalassa, more of hers. I have a whole list. The thing is, I'm rarely in the mood to have to learn a whole new world and then as well have the romance building. It's usually very slow burn. It's usually a lot of like world building, and I usually am bored right away. Like I usually get bored right away. Like books don't have, like fantasy romance books just don't have the right mix that I want. And I love the genre, fantasy romance is what led me to romance, but I don't read a lot of them. So I'm sorry, I'm not the best place for fantasy romance recs. And I know that that's disappointing, but it's just true. Fantasy romance recs are big. They usually don't have as much smut as I want, as well as a good balance of it. Because if I'm going to read a fantasy romance, I want the fantasy to be there, but I also want them to be having some sex, okay? I'm just being honest. And I feel like you usually are getting into a series, and usually the really good smut is books 3 or 4 or 5 in there. And I don't want to commit to that much before I get there. And I don't care if that makes me a book slut. You already knew that. You already knew that. So, that's why I don't have more fantasy recs for you. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I have some on my list. I have a pretty big folder of them. I have a couple of videos that you can look through my recommendation playlist to find, but you're just going to have to go to some other creators for those ones. I'm sorry. I don't read enough, and I'm not going to make myself do it either, because Happy Jen is Happy Channel. I'll come back to that question. The next one, things that I love besides books. I mean, I love my family, and I love my friends. But guys, you asked this question because then I also have the question, how I read so many books, which every single chatty video I do, someone new is asking how I read so many books. And the answer to one is the answer to the other. I don't do anything but read, okay? I don't. I work 8 to 5. I'm usually reading when I'm at work at the same time I'm listening to books. I, after work, go to the gym. Sometimes I'm listening to an audiobook at the gym. Eat dinner. I'll usually watch YouTube while I'm eating dinner. That's my YouTube time of day. And then I read from 7 p.m. to midnight. And I don't do anything else. So when people ask me, how can I read more books like you? I can only give so many tips. I read 60 to 75 books a month because I don't do anything else. And I'm not encouraging you to do that. I'm not telling you need to give up your life to do that. But I'm saying if you didn't do anything but read books, your reading speed increases, your listening speed increases, and you start reading more books. And when you give up on a lot of other things, when you're forced into your home for years, because here's the thing, before the pandemic, I'm telling you can go way back. Even when I was reading mostly romance, I was reading more like 20 to 30 books, and I was really happy with that. And that's back when I was reading more like YA fantasy books. I was still reading romance too. I was reading 20 to 30 books. And then the pandemic happened, and I didn't get to do my social gatherings because on the weekends I usually was seeing my friends. I had more church events than I do now. I still go to church every Sunday, and then we go out to eat, and so I read in the afternoons on Sunday and stuff. But I don't do anything else. So people always ask this question, like I have some magic trick for you. And it's really like, are you willing to give up everything else that you do? Do you bring a book everywhere you go? Do you have it in the line at the store? Are you listening to it in your car? Do you have it on your phone when you're waiting in the doctor's office? You'd be surprised how many books you can get through if that's all you're doing. But that doesn't mean I'm encouraging you to do that. I'm just telling you, I don't do anything besides read. I don't even watch TV really anymore except to watch YouTube. And that's it. And sometimes that's lonely. And sometimes, like, it's just fine. But I'll always answer this question because I know people are always curious. But the answer doesn't change. I don't have a magic formula. I don't do anything else. And that has led me to this, side time career where I'm starting to make some money for it. But I've always done that. I just haven't read the same volume because my reading speed has increased. Because you do eventually get faster, And your reading speed can gradually increase, I didn't used to be able to speed read. And now I can, And I also DNF things that aren't working for me. A lot of times if people are taking too long to read something, it's because they're making themselves read something that they don't really want to be reading. Even arcs that I get, if an arc isn't working for me, I give books 100 pages or a certain time, and then if they're not working, I get out of it. And I tell NetGalley, I'm like, I didn't finish this book, it didn't work. Sometimes that might keep me from getting other books that I want, but I'm also not willing to like ruin the way that I read to force myself through things. It's why I don't do a lot of themed videos. Like I read this, because I usually don't, you know, I usually can't make myself do it because I don't. So there's that. Someone sweetly asked what my dating life is. And if you don't know by now, based on the things that I said, I don't have one. There aren't too many guys where I live. I mean, I go to church. There's some people there. We're at different places in our lives. I haven't been honestly interested in pursuing anything online. I have done that in the past. It's not that I wouldn't like that, but I honestly right now am too lazy to go out and find it. And you can't expect a man to just fall into your lap. You know, that's kind of a romance reason thing. And I'm pretty happy how it is now. Like I have my friends and family, and I mean, honestly, I've said this, I'm closer to my friends online than my friends in real life right now, because during the pandemic, it kind of went a different way. So yeah, there's nothing in my romantic life. I'm still a very straight woman, definitely into the big D, but haven't had any in my life lately. So there we go. That question's out of the way. And then someone asked about my new job, which I started a new job back in March. I previously used to work for Microsoft. I worked for them for almost 5 years. I really enjoyed it. They afforded me a lot of opportunities, but I was on a sales team for them, and I was just tired of having a number that I had to hit all the time. It was really causing a lot of stress, and I've been on a like health journey for the past almost 2 years, actually, of July. It'll be 2 years, as long-time viewers will know. And I was noticing that it was harder to maintain my journey lately because I was pretty depressed. COVID was part of that. The changing goals and things was part of that. It was a lot. So I wanted to get into secretary work because honestly, that is all the things that I love to do. I like data entry. I like answering phones. And I like working with business people. I just didn't want to be like the business person. So I currently work for a one-man operation that is a sales and marketing team. We're having to like rebuild because he recently had lost his like main client he was working with. So we're doing a lot of building with that. So I literally work out of this guy's home. It's him and his wife. They're both in their 70s. They're very sweet. And I don't know how long I will be at this position because either this new change is going to work or it's not. But it feels so good to be in the role that I want to be doing, where I can leave the work at work and come home. It's the first time I had gotten to really leave my home for work for over a year. Pretty much exactly a year, because it was March to March that I was working out of my home, and it was just not good. I was struggling a lot. So I'm really liking it. I don't know how long I'll be with this company, but I'm glad to now have on my resume that I am an executive assistant, even though like it's for a one-place shop. He made the choice to like, I want your role to say that you're an executive admin assistant, because if you ever do want to work somewhere else, you'll be at the highest level of that. And my goal, honestly, I really would love to be a secretary at a school. There are a lot of new schools opening in my area, and I just feel like that would be perfect because it'd be 7:30 to 4, the same holidays as the school gets, summer's off, and it would be amazing. So that's my like ultimate goal, I've decided. But for now, I'm happy being here. And yeah, it's going really good. It's going really good. Okay, and then the last one I wanted to touch on real quick was someone asked upcoming releases. And I was going to do a separate video for this, but the thing is that a lot of the books I'm excited for are indie releases, and it's hard to know when they're coming out because a lot of times authors will decide the release date very soon before they come out. But I made a list of, I think there's like 10 here that I'm excited for that come out in June and July. So I'm going to tell you those right now. So Real by Kennedy Ryan either has just come out or is about to come out. I don't know when I'm going to put this video up, but I'm very excited to read this. Crystal has already read this book. She had an ARC and she said it's one of her favorite books of the year, and it's her favorite Kennedy Ryan. And I haven't read Real yet, but my favorite Kennedy Ryan previously was Still, and she likes it even more than that. So I'm really, really excited to give it a go. The Bully by Sophie Lark, which, in case you didn't know about this, Sophie Lark is actually going to be on my channel on June 17th, I think is the day, to discuss the release of Bully as well as her other Mafia Rex. I'm so excited to interview her with a couple of my favorite friends. So yeah, I'm very excited for The Bully. This is book 3 in the Kingmakers. It is going to be most impactful if you've read most of her previous books, but for sure the Kingmaker Chronicle, or the Kingmaker series, if not. Carnal Urges by J.T. Gessinger. This is the next book in her Queens and Monsters series, and I'm so pumped for this one. I loved Ruthless People. Is it Ruthless? No, Ruthless Creatures so much, so I'm excited for it. Lessons in Sin by Pam Godwin. This is a student teacher age gap, but it's also a priest because it's a Catholic school. That's all I need to know. Oh my word. Also the one coming out by Sierra Simone. I think that one's called Saint. And that one is 2 monks, male monks at a monastery. I forgot about that one. Kingly Bitten by Lexi C. Foss. Oh boy, I've been waiting for this one a long time. This is going to be the 5th book in her, what's the series called? I can't remember what the series is called right now, but I really love this series. This is a paranormal, very dark series, and I can't wait for this one. Devil in Disguise by Lisa Kleypas. This is one of the only traditional ones that I have on my list, but Jessen's already read an arc of this one, and she said that it's one of her favorite books of the year, and maybe her favorite Lisa Kleypas. And I'm just like, girl, that is a high bar to set, but I believe Lisa Kleypas can do it. I believe she can do it. Witches Get Stitches by Juliet Cross, which I currently have an arc for, and as soon as I finish my last 2 books for the Mafia readathon, I am diving into that. I already read the first couple chapters because I just couldn't wait, and I'm just so excited. So excited. Juliet is a friend of mine, which happened after I actually read her first 2 books. They're over there. I became friends with her through Jessen, obviously, and she's just the sweetest lady. And I'm so excited for Nico and, wow, I just forgot her name. Violet. Yes. The Temptation by Nikki Sloan. This is going to be book 5 in the Filthy Rich American series. And I loved the first 3, but I particularly love the 4th book, which was an age gap, a little bit of daddy kink. And this one's going to be about the other McAllister son. And I just can't wait. I love Nikki Sloan, and I'm excited for this. And then the last one that I'm going to mention, even though there are so many, guys, this was just a quick peruse through my want to read list on my Goodreads for the next couple months, but The Casanova by T.L. Swan comes out in August, and I'm just eagerly waiting for the arc to be available, because last year I read The Takeover and it kind of changed my life, and I'm so excited to read about Elliot and his mystery woman, and I don't know how it can hold a candle to The Takeover, but I'm going in with an open mind, and I can't wait to see what happens. So that's going to be it for this chatty video. I didn't want it to be horribly long, but I did want to just chat with you guys and have a fun video with me yakking a little bit. So thank you so much for watching this. Make sure you check out the links for the reveal book box if you're interested in channel memberships. I always have that down below. And yeah, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit like if you want to see more videos like this. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.